Michelle, are you ready?
I was born ready.
She's an award-winning author, speaker, and podcast host who serves on the National Faith Advisory Council. She supported Donald J. Trump for president before it was cool, from her she shed in her beautiful backyard. This is the Michelle Moore Show.
Trophies have turned to rust. People have let me down. Who can I trust? I found earth's riches, but I lost my own worth. When I hit rock bottom, to whom else could I turn? It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, all for you. I'm merely existing if I'm not existing to worship you. 'Cause kingdoms fall and reigns will end, empires crumble and left in ruins. It's all for nothing if it's not all for you. All for you, Jesus. In you I found the great love. You are my firm foundation, in whom I place my trust. I found heaven's when you told me my word, you alone give words of life. To whom else could I turn? It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, all for you. I'm merely existing if I'm not existing to worship you. 'Cause kingdoms fall, reigns will end, empires crumble and left in ruins. It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, Jesus. This life is a vapor, just a breath away. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, we all return to clay. Let my life be a drink offering. Hold me out any way that you please. Without you, Jesus, it's all for nothing. It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, all for you. I'm merely existing if I'm not existing to worship you. 'Cause kingdoms fall, reigns will end, empires crumble and left in ruins. It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, Jesus.
Hi, everybody. So glad that you're with us today. We're back. I missed you. And of course, we've got Lieutenant Mark Taylor with us today as well. Very excited to have him here. It feels like a lifetime when we miss a week with Mark. Mark and I were talking about it. There's so many times that he and I will do a show on Mondays, and then we'll be talking Wednesday or Thursday and be like, we could do a whole nother show like today because so much has happened. And so you take a whole Monday that we miss. So then you've got like this 2 weeks, and all of a sudden it feels like a lifetime of things have happened since then. I'm sure that many of you feel the same as well. So excited about that. I first want to let you know, though, that Jay with ATKN will be with us tomorrow. We have the second in our series, our teaching series. Now, I missed his first one, and he had to carry the show by himself. And so of his teaching series here, because of my mother-in-law, who, by the way, many of you have written me while we were out on break last week, asking how she's doing and saying that you're praying for her and hope she's doing well. I told y'all, I witnessed a miracle. We witnessed a miracle. She is doing phenomenal. She's not 100%, but boy, it's close. She's doing phenomenal. So anyways, it gave us quite the scare, all of us, and gave herself quite the scare, apparently. But we just wanted to let you know she is doing amazingly well. We saw her. She actually watched Flash More for us while she was out of town. And so, or we were out of town. And so she likes to have him and, spend time with him. So it's a good thing. He loves his Meemaw, and she loves her Flash more too. So it all works out good. She likes that. But anyway, so I wanted to give you an update on that. And let's go on ahead. We got a show tomorrow with Jay. And then, of course, Wednesday will be an educational video or a documentary. And then we'll announce maybe tomorrow what the plans are for Thursday and Friday. All right. So let's go on ahead and bring Lieutenant Mark Taylor in. Hello, Mark. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, I'm glad that you're here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. We have a lot to cover today. And the first one is that I think is interesting is, first of all, CNN is reporting that President Trump has an 100% approval rating. Now, look, I'd love to think that he really does have that, but nobody gets 100%.
Nope.
Nobody.
Nope.
So, okay. Then at the same time, CBS is polling saying that Trump's approval sinks to 60% disapproval.
Yeah.
Okay, so this says November is a long way away, but if these numbers hold, we are going to get massacred in the midterms. That's just reality, says Jesse Kelly off of X. And so says, and when we do, not a single 95% of MAGA is still with us. So I guess he's quoting Trump. Yeah. Commentator will come to you and say that they're sorry. I don't know where. That's the only thing I can think of. Is he quoting? Where's the 94% of MAGA is still with us? Isn't that Trump that said that last week?
Probably. I mean, look, you and I both know nobody gets 100% on the polling. So look, we're going to go into this a little more as we get into the show. Now, I'm going to refer back to the CNN poll once we get to the certain point in the show. So nobody gets 100%. So I think they are putting out some of these fake polls, if you will, to protect the president's reputation. And this is all about that. And you got to remember who just took over CNN. So I don't know if that's kicked in yet or not, if Larry Ellison's kicked in because he is a Trump guy or whatever. So, but I mean, the point is that are they kicking in, and the White House is saying, okay, we need to do something here, because I think even the White House knows Trump's in trouble with his own base right now. Because how do you get 100% when I know, and I look at social media, I look at conservative social media. I'm not talking about some of these liberals and all these other people. I'm talking about conservatives who have voted for Trump 3 times, who are very angry with the president. They feel hurt with the president. They feel betrayed by the president. I've been calling this out for a long time, and now here it is. And I got attacked for saying this, and now here it is. You're seeing the poll numbers come out. But I think that CNN poll number is a fake number to protect the president's reputation. That's my opinion.
Well, this goes down with the CJ, and he gets into job approval ratings based on, topics, so to speak, or areas of Trump's leadership, right? And so I found this interesting. Producer Ron, can you make this a little bit larger? And so this is just, okay, so overall approval is 40%. So this is Trump's job approval rating. So just overall, so a 60% overall disapproval. And then immigration is 45% approval. Iran is 38% approval. Economy is 36% approval. And the inflation is 33%. What do you think about those numbers?
Right. Okay. So they may be some of those may be a little low, but I do think that this is correct as far as his ratings are taking a hit. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say the numbers are correct, but I know his ratings are taking a hit because I talk to too many people. I see too many people, and what their comments are and how they feel. They are upset with this president, and all of this is because he's focused on foreign policy over domestic policy, because we have so many issues on American soil, which is what I've been calling out, that he's not been dealing with, because, again, we live in a lawless society right now, and because Trump has zero control over American soil right now, because the crime is rampant, our food prices are through the roof, fuel prices are through the roof, and I'm not going to go into the whole Iran thing. I think at some point the fuel prices will come down. Will the food prices come down? That's another story, because usually sometimes stores don't like to bring their prices down once they hit a certain point. Yeah. And so, my wife just went to Walmart, prime example, yesterday. Bought hardly nothing, $250. So, I mean, again, so the numbers may not be quite correct here, but it's the fact that he is dropping because of his domestic policy or lack of domestic policy. He's not kept his promises to the American people about getting rid of immigration. We're going to go into that some more here in a little bit, and all these different things that are now starting to manifest right now.
Okay, so I do want to point out that image that we had on the screen is from CBS. So I just want to make sure people know that as well.
Right.
All right. So talking about some of the things that you were just saying. So I thought it was interesting. I have noticed a difference. We aren't seeing or hearing from Tom Homan much, and we're not hearing or seeing much about the progress with taking out the illegals from our country. So there is a story. So Trump seeks to lower the profile of his mass deportation efforts. Look at this. And so is that because they're not, I mean, what's going on? Are we not deporting illegals?
Well, so now he says right here that some of his deportation policies have gone too far, and voters don't like the term mass deportation. So now we're being politically correct. Since when is this president politically correct? This is what we're talking about right here. This is where you're backtracking on what we put you in office to do, which is the 50 million illegals that are in this country. We want them out of here. We have too many issues going on. Too many people are dying on American soil. Too many attacks. Too many wrecks. Too many Muslims. Whatever you want to call it. It all fits under the guise of illegal immigration. They need to be gotten out of here yesterday, and we haven't done it. We have not even scratched the surface. I mean, look, we played J.J. Carroll on your show. He even told us the numbers that the White House was releasing were not accurate. So a lot of this is to protect the president's reputation. Again, we're going to get into some more of this as we go along.
Okay. The next one is the Mexican national. So it was arrested without any U.S. identifying documents. He was charged with attempted murder. Now, I'm going to say this, viewer discretion. So you got little ones that you don't want to hear this. You're going to need to have them leave the room. But I'm going to start from the beginning here. Mexican national without any U.S. identifying documents was charged with attempted murder. Strangles a woman that was in Utah and then repeatedly slashed her throat. This is horrific. This is going on. This is a current story. Yeah. So this goes back to what you're talking about, Mark, and that's very concerning.
Yeah, it's not safe to even go to the grocery store, let alone can you afford to go to the grocery store. So you can't even walk down the street right now. He keeps saying how America's streets are safer and we got these people out of here. Really? Because the headlines are saying a different story here. The poll numbers are saying a different story here. Well, so which one is it?
Yeah.
And I have repeatedly said that he may have made some places a little bit safer, like Washington, D.C., but then after that, 5 minutes after he claimed that, he had Code Pink 2 tables over, and then we have 2 National Guard members get shot, 1 dead, and then we just had an attack the other day when the Iran war started. So again, I have said repeatedly that when these guys are not stupid, they have fled the big cities and they have gone out into the rural areas. They have scattered now, and I've said they were going to do that. For years, I've said they're going to do that. When they start this, watch for them to go to ground. You're going to have to go to every state, every county, every city, every town, every nook and cranny, every hole, and every tunnel to root these guys out. And it's going to take footwork to do that.
That's true. You have been saying that. All right. The next one is, okay, so Trump apparently retruthed about a pair of rare Trump sneakers that were listed for $180,000. And so look at these. And so this is what he's talking about.
Yeah.
By the way, Rocky 2000 says gas is absolutely out of control again in California. And let's look at that. Producer Rod, U.S. national gas prices jumped to $3.84 per gallon per AAA. So there you go. I mean,
we're bumping $6 for diesel here in Florida. And
sure.
we're bumping $4 a gallon for regular gas. Now, the point to the sneakers is this, guys. It's $180,000 that Trump reposts this for sneakers at SneakerCon in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. That shows you how out of touch with the American people he is. Who wants to see that? I couldn't give two, what's about sneakers at $180,000 when I can't afford to put gas in the tank or food on the table. That's my point with the president. Something's going on with the president here where he's completely out of touch with the American people and what we want and what we put him in office for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very concerning. Okay. So I want to change. Oh, well, while we're on this, so he's truthing about the gold sneakers while we're all being sprayed every day.
Right.
So let's look. Now, this lady is a completely legitimate whistleblower.
Yep.
I know her backstory. Very interesting. Let's take a look at what she has to say about the geoengineering. It's about a 4-minute long video. Here we go.
One of the first people to ever blow the whistle on what she says is absolutely happening, and that our own government has been involved for decades, spraying chemicals into the air with no regard for the people those chemicals could be hurting. I want to welcome in former U.S. Air Force environmental specialist and geoengineering whistleblower, Kristen Megan. It's great to have you back. Kristen, appreciate you being here. So you've been talking about this issue for years now. Can you take us through what you say is absolutely happening?
Yeah, thanks for having me back. This is absolutely happening, and it's basically now openly admitted, even though you're getting kind of pushback from the EPA, but I don't think it's intentional. What I discovered around starting in 2007, I was working in bioenvironmental engineering in the Air Force. And like I had mentioned previously, I tried to debunk this. And in the attempt to debunk it, I realized as somebody who was approving forms called Air Force Form 3952s, I had to reject these toxicants on formerly known as an MSDS, now an SDS, because they're the very same toxicants we were trying to engineer out of the workplace. So why would we be procuring more? So lots of soil sampling, air sampling. Once I got threatened, I knew I found something, and it's very much happening. In fact, when I finished my master's around 2015, it was in one of my environmental textbooks that they were doing it. So it's a shock to me that people still think it's not happening. Yes, yeah. I sold the book, but I wish I still had it.
And we can all see it if you look up, and it just doesn't make sense, that it's coming from like a Delta flight flying overhead. So your role in the Air Force, if I'm understanding it correctly, was basically to approve these flights long before takeoff, and eventually you just said, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. Is that accurate broadly?
Well, it wasn't approving the flights. So when you're using hazardous materials, you have to track them from cradle to grave, use and disposal. So when I was in the Air Force, I'm basically OSHA and EPA, but in the military. So I had to make sure that we were keeping workers safe. So we had to understand what we were bringing on and how it could affect human and environmental health.
Right. People will say to me, they're like, well, we don't think this is happening. If this isn't happening, why have multiple states passed laws banning weather engineering, including Florida, including Texas? Can you explain that?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I know a lot of people have taken the angle of, because people still don't believe it. Even if you don't believe it, there's people that are trying to take action saying, look at what they're claiming. Because when the government claims that they're going to do something, they're already doing it. And they're trying to say, even if you don't believe it, would you want it to happen? It has these human and environmental impacts. So Yes, and there's a lot of those legislators have reached out to myself and Dane Wigington over the past couple of years, so
Yes.
they have the information and all the government documents that are on geoengineeringwatch.org.
Biggest question, in your opinion, why is this being done? And again, it might not be EPA, could be DARPA, could be War Department, could be private companies, but why are they doing this?
I think there's a multitude of reasonings. You control the weather, you can handicap many people. We did it flooding the Ho Chi Minh Trail. But when you had this huge climate change initiative, we needed to find ways to dim the sun and decrease the solar load. So this is fear-based, and I also think it's financially incentivized through betting on crops and, again, handicapping anyone in war.
Yeah, so it kind of takes away the organic from anything organic you're buying, because this is then sprayed into the air, and then and gravity brings it down. Eventually, the rain brings it down, and it is all over all of us. What are these crops doing to people? Or I'm sorry, these chemicals doing to people?
Well, a lot of them are heavy alkaline metals and salts, and what they do, again, is that synergistic toxicity. You're breathing it in, you have the dermal absorption and an inhalation. And it does depend on relative humidity and different weather patterns. Like, I live in Michigan, so we have all seasons in the same day.
Right.
So the dissipation rates are faster. When you ingest that, it is eating away at your gut health. And the thing is when they're using strontium and barium, those things bioaccumulate in the bones, and it also displaces potassium. And if anyone's ever had low potassium, you know that causes a massive issue with your nerves and your heart, and it can mimic a heart attack. So we're getting massively bombarded because, again, different routes of exposure, and depending on where you live, you can be more exposed already because you have background elements in your drinking water.
Jeez, it's so scary. Kristen, we appreciate you being with us again tonight. Thank you. Look forward to having you back. Kristen Megan, again, one of the only people willing to talk about this publicly. Thank you.
Okay, so I think that's just scratching the surface. I think we have absolutely no idea how horrible what they're doing to us. And so, so when you have that going on, and he's retweeting about $180,000 pair of sneakers while we have these gas prices, while he's telling us to just suck it up, right? And then we've got these high food prices. I mean, this, and by the way, and then you don't have anybody really talking about wage increases.
Well, it's easy to suck it up when you're a billionaire, but let's go back to the lady here for a second. Okay. All right. People need to understand who she is and what her background is. I don't know if people caught that. She did the MSDS sheets for the military, but they're called SDS in the military. MSDS, I got to go back to my hazmat days, are material safety data sheets. In other words, she knew exactly the chemical that was going on every aircraft, and she would have to push this through. So she knew exactly what was going on. That's this lady's background. And so, what people have to understand is that why are they doing this? Well, there's a multitude of reasons why they're doing this, and there's a push. I've been saying this from day one, and people said I was crazy. They want us metal toxicity. Why do they want us with metal toxicity? Because the frequencies that they're generating can control the human body at that point. They can control what you hear, what you don't hear. They can control what you're doing medically. This is why there's such a push, which we're going to see right now here in a minute, for 5G, for 6G now that's fixing to come on board, and why they want you like a giant antenna. Because they know that we're going to go into some of this, the radars, all of these things, the frequencies are what's making you sick.
The cell phone towers.
Cell phone towers, all of it, guys.
All right, so producer Ron, go on ahead and play that video of Trump in the White House talking about 5G and 6G. Let's go on ahead and play that now. Mark, I had it.
So we're into 6G now. I just finished 5G. I was a leader on 5G, getting that done, and now they're up to 6.
Let's do it again.
What does that do? Give you a little bit deeper view into somebody's skin? See how perfect it is. I like the cameras the old days. So they just had a nice feature. Now they cover every little. Let's see, Michael, you're in good shape. You're not gonna. But I tell you, it's the 6 is coming, huh?
So we're laughing about this, and like it's something funny, honestly, and we're blowing it off like it's something funny, when in fact it's killing all of humanity right now. And this is another way how they control you. Go ahead.
Yeah, and again. Now, I did see yesterday on X where Robert Kennedy Jr. is asking, are you seeing chemtrails in your skies, and if so, or geoengineering or chemtrails? And he says, if so, please comment the city and state that you live in. And I was like, wouldn't it be easier to just go on ahead and say where you don't see it, like then comment, because everybody else you might as well just assume has it. It's just like, please give me a break.
Every state in the union is getting hammered right now with chemtrails, and they say, well, Florida banned them, other states banned them. They didn't ban these things. They only banned them after a certain footage. Well, they spray these things at 20 and 30,000 feet, so they're not banned.
No. Well, here's the thing, too, that nobody talks about, that doesn't understand. I had an expert on that's in politics, and he said, in Tennessee, and he said, here's the deal. When they passed it, it was doomed to fail anyways. It was all set up to fail. It was all for headlines, because there was never any kind of like, who's going to police it? Who's going to enforce it? And what are the fines going to be? Are you going to go to prison? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? You're going to have to pick up trash on the side of the road. What's the deal? And so, and who exactly is going to be arrested or in trouble? Is it just the pilots? Is it whoever the pilots fly for? And so none of that was addressed in just the Tennessee whole brouhaha over a year ago, or right at a year ago. So we had him on to talk about all this. And that's why I told you, if you remember, and I told Steve Jarvis this too when he was on the show, I said numerous times on this show, I said, Florida, everybody's getting excited about Florida. And I said, it's going to be a big nothing burger. Don't be getting excited. It's going to be a Tennessee part 2. And that's exactly what it was. I can see it coming. And so, anybody starts up with that stuff, forget it. It's not, you can't take it serious. And then they say, oh, but the sky's so high and this and that. Bull, it doesn't matter. Nobody's stopping it. They're all in on it.
Yep, they're all in on it.
And by the way, Steve Jarvis has done the research. When I say they're all in on it, I'm talking all 3-letter agencies. It's not just DARPA. It's not just the president. They're all in on it. And if it's that the President Trump can't make it stop, why hasn't he used his most powerful voice, like what you say all the time? So, okay, so then some people want to say, well, we're not really seeing the real Trump, like the guy that was just talking. That's not the real Trump. But now you and I have had many conversations about this off air. Share with everybody, if you would please, about that, what you have to say about that.
I don't care if there's 50 Trumps out there. I don't care if the real one's in Cheyenne Mountain. I don't care where he's at. I don't care if he's at Kroger's grocery store. It doesn't matter. He represents the office of the president. He's speaking for the office of the president is what he represents. It doesn't matter if it's number 48, number 102. I don't care. He represents, and all the people are going to see is that video right there and what he just said. Or he's making light of the fact of 5G, and now we're going to 6G. And I find he makes a very, very strange statement there, like that said. He says, well, you can see through people's skin. Well, is that what 6G is designed for? Is more surveillance? So, I mean, I don't know. The point is, every time I turn around, or we turn around, we're having a hard time defending this president when all he's doing is acknowledging stuff or endorsing things that are killing humanity right now. So it's getting harder and harder to defend him in this stuff, which is why I believe he's listening to the wrong people. And the problem is his ego, once he puts his stamp of approval on something, he's not going to backtrack. Just like he did with the vaccines.
And I think at some point, like, we have to deal with reality. And so you have only a small amount of people, at least in that I end up meeting and being around, that it's like I've got one foot in one world and one foot in another. You've got people with the show and truthers that are tracking all of this and know, oh, well, there's Cheyenne Mountain and there's this. But then you've got the majority of Americans who they don't get on X. They don't watch shows. They still watch ABC or NBC.
Right.
They're still listening to CNN. And so you have to think about that as well. So that's why we deal in reality of what is publicly being seen.
Right.
And so, and quite frankly, the Cheyenne Mountain thing, I'm more discouraged about the possibility of that than ever before because of the Melania movie. How did that happen? And she's tweeting. There are accounts that are confirmed. Supposedly that's her account. And she came out a month before the election and endorsed abortion. And so, there's just, and then she did this deal, and she does this deal with,
she endorsed abortion or LGBTQ?
What'd you say?
Did she endorse abortion or LGBTQ?
I thought it was abortion.
30 days before the election?
Yeah.
No, that was LGBTQ.
Okay. So
yeah.
To me, I put it all in the same pot, really, because they're all for abortion.
Well.
And so the fact of the matter is, you've got this stuff going on. And who was it that she did the deal with? Was it Amazon or who it was that she got millions of dollars for the TV or for the movie? And so, and now it's on television, you can watch it from home. But the point of the matter is, and then of course, like, okay, remember we covered this a few weeks ago with Jeff Bezos, where he was sitting across the table. I talked about this with the Melania movie, where it turns out that the inaugural ball and all that stuff before the inauguration, the night before, there's a big ball. It's a big deal. It was covered in the Melania movie, if you haven't seen it yet, Mark. And so, but what it showed was that Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos are sitting across the table from them, meaning that they gave a lot of money to them, and meaning to Trump's inaugural ball and all that kind of stuff. And so, because there's pretty much no rules or regulations to who or how much there's no cap about how much you can donate to that. And so come to find out, and we covered all this about a month ago. So all of this is very concerning for me, Mark. And at the end of the day, I just want to say that's why we don't get into all this stuff about, well, is that the real Trump? And is this the real JD Vance? And because the fact of the matter is the world is acting like that's the real JD Vance. And so, you're going to sound cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs to a lot of people if you start getting into that. Yep. And we have to deal with what we see with our own eyes.
Right.
And so we have to have a base. A foundation.
Let me explain it this way real quick. Okay. When I was still in the fire department, they used to park the presidential limos at the at Station 8 at the Orlando International Airport, close to there, right? And so they would have the Secret Service there watching them. Well, I got to actually look at one of the limos that were there one day, and I talked to one of the Secret Service guys because someone would have to sit in a chair and they have to have eyes on it 24/7, period. And they would switch shifts in there before the president came in. So I asked him, I said, look, because I couldn't stand Clinton. Nobody could stand Clinton. I said, how do you guys justify protecting this guy, knowing how corrupt he is? He said, Lieutenant, we don't look at it that way. He said, we have to look at it like we're protecting the office of the president.
Right. You just
Do you see the difference, guys?
Yes.
The president is not, he's just a man. He is the office that they are representing. It's the office of the president. The most powerful voice on the planet is the president of the United States. Especially this one at this point. So whatever this man says, whatever he does, gives the perception worldwide that that's his endorsement right there.
Okay, so Mark, another thing that I struggle with, just me personally, and I have said this before, and it's just been a while. It's like, where is God in all of this? Because you have so much deception. Well, it's the art of war. Oh, we're at war, unprecedented time. Okay, yeah, but still. So we're all adults, and you got us being sprayed. Oh, but Trump's in Cheyenne Mountain. Okay. Right. But, okay. Well, we're still being sprayed and babies are still being taken to their well checks today. And, we still got red dye 40 and it's going to be, 18 months before that stuff's taken out. Supposedly it'll just be renamed. Just mark my words. Oh, yeah. But, in fact, stuff's already coming out about that. But okay. So that's what I'm saying. Like this whole nonsense about Cheyenne Mountain, that's what it is. It's nonsense. You have to have a baseline. And the baseline is, like what you said, the office of the president and what is really going on. And so, okay, I want to go back to the spraying. So Cousin 77 says, happens every day here in Virginia, spraying us daily. KM Sunshine says it may be banned in Texas. It's a big nothing burger. Yep. But we're still getting sprayed daily. Lavender So says, my grandchildren keep getting sick, and sick again. My daughter and her husband live close to I-10 and chemtrails often in our skies. Then everyone's tired right after, says viewer 77. X is in our skies. Oh, wow. Yeah, I've seen those. It's crazy. And then there'll still be people that'll go, that's not a geoengineering. All the spraying has been making me extremely exhausted. Think about what it's doing to our soil. Think about that. So it's just amazing. Okay. Yes. Okay. Have y'all seen the Krogers? Do you have this in your area? Do you have a Kroger in your area, Mark?
No.
Okay.
They deliver. That's it.
This is very weird. Now, I can't even, my spirit for the last few years has been so disturbed really since the whole slowing of the spread, but to go into Kroger, I can't hardly do it. I don't even know if I go in once a year at this point. Okay, so JK Cupcake says there are flock cameras going up everywhere too. Each camera costs $2,500 to $3,000 per unit. We are having to pay for our own surveillance state. Of course.
Yeah.
Okay, now here's what's crazy. You go to the Kroger's and the whole entire parking lot, it's on a main boulevard, so I drive by and I see it. It's like completely different color lights than everything else in the whole town. It's crazy. And they're like a purple color. I'm wondering, JK Cupcakes, is that the flock that you're talking about? Because I don't know what flock cameras are. You're gonna have to share that. That's a new term for me. So we'll look for that. Producer Ron, look in the chat live for me for the JK Cupcakes response. Okay, so let's keep going. So we've got the rare sneakers. Gas prices are high. Just craziness going on. All right. Now, they're going back to what Mark was saying. We have another article that we wanted to show you. This is about the homegrown and transnational terrorist attacks increasing in the U.S. and in Europe. Mark, this is what you were talking about.
This is what I've been talking about. Look, I don't have a problem going into Iran and dealing with those issues. What we should have dealt with American soil first. If we knew we were going to go in, we knew we were going to go in months ago, guys. Months ago, we knew we were going to go in. This is not something new. So we should have handled this stuff on American soil. And then Trump makes a statement the other day, which I was infuriated about. They asked him about, we have Iranian terror cells on American soil. He says, well, we have our eye on them. Excuse me? Why do we have our eye on them? Why aren't they out of here? Or why haven't we taken them out? Why do we have our eye on them? Yeah. Giving them the opportunity. Again, why aren't we proactive versus why we're always reactive in America?
Interesting. Okay. Let's kind of pivot a little bit and talk about Larry Ellison. So he's the one that back in January took over TikTok. So let's see. There's a little video here. Let's see how it's going.
Larry Ellison officially took control over TikTok on January 22nd. Let's see how it's going. Cue the music. Let's see what happens when I search I hate Jays. Blocked. Okay, that's fine. No one should hate anybody. And there's a picture of heart and doves and a reminder of the Holocaust, and that's fine. But let's see what happens when I search I hate Jesus. Wow, look at that. Look at all the videos. They boost that in the algorithm, don't they? Now let's see what happens when I search I hate Islam. Wow, look at all those videos again. Now let's search Jays control the media. Blocked. How about Christians control the media? Wow, look at that. They say we do. George Orwell said, if you want to know who rules over you, look at who you are not allowed to criticize.
Okay, well, we've heard that before for sure.
Yep.
Okay, so talking about all of that, which is insane. I guess it was last week, I think was the time. You look like you're laughing. I'm like, what insane thing are we going to talk about now? This is where I was upset. I told Mark about this before the show, about an hour before when we were just starting to prepare for today's show together. And I said, I'm just heavy hearted and I'd heard about this last week when it got passed, but the British House of Lords approves up to birth. We're talking 9 months. These people have lost their minds. Abortions to become law, as the culture of death takes over the UK. But this. I almost started the show with this because really nothing matters when this kind of stuff is going on.
No.
Mark, what do you say?
This is going to bring a deep, dark curse upon the UK if they don't do something about this. Again, the people are going to have to rise up, I think, at this point. I mean, you got to change this. I mean, you cannot have this. Look, it's the elites wanting the sacrifice for Baal. That's what this is about. They're feeding that entity called Baal, which is a violent entity, and he feeds off the blood of the innocent. He feeds off of war, and he feeds off of abortions. He feeds off of all of these things. So obviously Baal is in control, because to go to this extent, this is pretty bad right here at this point. I mean, you want to talk about murder, even during birth, guys. A fully formed child up to birth, they're going to try to kill the kids. So, I mean, look, you cannot. I'll deal with some of this when we get into the spiritual stuff. I know we still got some more of this other stuff we got to deal with. So,
no, we're kind of transitioning into it
all right.
now. But
but spiritually, you cannot call yourself a man or woman of God and support this. You cannot call yourself a conservative Republican and support this kind of thing. You cannot call yourself a man or woman of God or a conservative if you support LGBTQ. You cannot call yourself a conservative right now at this point if you support mRNA vaccines or a man or woman of God. You cannot call yourself a conservative if you backtrack on abortion issues, this, that, and the other. We have a problem, guys, and it's sitting in the White House right now. You have the First Lady that has come out and endorsed LGBTQ. You have the president that has backtracked on some of the abortion issues like he did in Arizona, him and Carrie Lake both. And then you have the mRNA vaccines. Then you have the 5G, 6G. We have an issue going on right now. You have a man that is leading the most conservative movement in American history, but yet he's not a conservative. He's not a full-blown conservative, unfortunately. I support him to a point. I support the movement to a point. But if you're going to tell me that MAGA is LGBTQ, that you support mRNA vaccines, that you support 5G and 6G, guess what, guys? I'm not MAGA. Count me out. I'm not MAGA. I am a conservative Christian patriot who will serve my country and protect my country and the kingdom of God at all costs. But I will not support anyone or someone else, or if God issues a correction like he's been doing through me, and I've been getting hammered, I've been getting some nasty comments. Matter of fact, me and you received a nasty letter from someone about all this mess. And it's like, I'm going to call it out. Because the fact of the matter is, I don't care who's sitting in the White House, if it's number 1 or number 102, or if he's in Cheyenne Mountain. It is still the office of the president. It is still the most powerful voice on the planet. And there are things going on in the White House right now, and in that presidency and in that Oval Office, such as a sacrifice to almost lighting a candle to a
Hindu
foreign god, which is a huge no-no in God's eyes. Huge no-no. And that's twice that scumbag, Kash Patel, has led him down the wrong path spiritually, and he listened to him. So we have a huge problem right now. The president has a huge problem, and it's going down the road of Saul right now at this point. And so the prophet, if everyone knows the story, came to Saul, warned him, and everyone knows what the end result was. So we have a problem right now going on. I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer. I'm not trying to be negative Nancy here. I'm telling you the truth. I believe that these prophetic words will come to pass, but I think it's going to take God knocking him on his can or something happening to him again, because the first one didn't work. I think it's going to take something very heavy-handed for him, very personal for him, for this to turn around. Or it's going to be, is God just going to simply take it and just say, oh, wait, you know what? I'm going to hand it to somebody else, and they're going to complete the mission. I don't know. God has not shown me this right now. And I'm going to take a lot of heat for this. I don't care. But the point is, God's trying to correct this man, and this man's not listening. I have dealt with some of these people, this elite mindset with a high IQ, and they think that they are beyond correction. They literally think that they are beyond correction. And so I have been looking at, I got to look for it here. So if you got something to say, go ahead. I'm going to look for something real quick here.
Well, I think that at the end of the day, we have to remember, that, God is, I always think about how God is the beginning and the end. He's the Alpha and the Omega, and he is sovereign, but it's also our prayers that can change things and can move his heart and empower him, because we do have choice. I remember when the Holy Spirit showed me, I guess it's been about a year ago, I heard the Holy Spirit say, my children have choice, otherwise they'd be my slaves. And so we have to remember that, that we that's how we move him, is through prayer. And I just want to encourage everybody, while Mark's looking for that, we need to be praying. And I don't know, Mark, do you believe that Republicans and Christian or conservatives are, because I think, well, Republican, conservative, but is a conservative also always a Christian? I don't think so. I think that's where you've got a lot of gays that, and LGBTQ that support Trump.
Right. So, but the thing is, 50 years ago, this didn't exist in the Republican Party. So you see how the Republican Party has even morphed into something that's no longer right wing or far right. It is more now center, which is where Trump has moved it, unfortunately.
Okay. But now I want to say this too. So I don't know if I told you or we talked about this, but I guess it was about 4 months ago, 3 or 4 months ago, there was a lady who had been going to some different Republican Party events. And she posted about this. I don't remember who it was. I just remember her saying that, look, I'm a Christian, I'm conservative, I'm a true Christian conservative. And she was saying how disappointed she was at a lot of these people with high profiles on social media, whatever, and how she started realizing that a lot of them were all having sex and degenerates, but they're posing as the Republican Party. And a lot of them are in their 20s. And she said, this is nothing like I thought it was. And I couldn't be more disappointed. So I'm just sharing another thing to back up what you're talking about. I just happened to remember that. And she had a whole post about it. It was not good.
Look, I keep hearing the Lord say that he's handing Trump over to his own devices at times. And what does that actually mean? All right, let's talk about that for a second. It means, okay, when someone is left to their own devices, or handed over to them, it means they are allowed to do what they want or must take care of themselves without any help or supervision or interference from others. The person is free to make their own decisions and choices. They are left alone to manage their own time or situation. Self-reliance, it implies depending on one's own abilities, skills, imagination to solve problems. In other words, without God. It's not necessarily judgment. It means that they are handed over to their own devices. In other words, you're operating out of your own intellect, which is what the prophetic word says right here. And so it may imply this phrase refers, well, let's see here. Yeah, so without a teacher, God is our teacher. Holy Spirit is our teacher. So without that, you are left with your own devices to complete the project, basically, is what it refers to. So he's using this without God's influence, and he's using his own intellect, which we have talked about time and time and time again, which is what the prophetic word talks about.
Too smart for your own good.
Too smart for your own good, guys. You're using your own intelligence to handle things. I believe that every prophetic word that God spoke right here, all this man has to do is turn to Christ, turn to God, and walk it out, which is why he's having so many issues right now. Everything keeps getting blocked. Everything keeps taking more time. And Trump can end this anytime he wants, but he also prides himself. I said pride himself that he can end this anytime he wants. And so there are certain things that are cooking in America right now that are not good. And so if he was listening to God right now, a lot of this stuff would have been cleaned up by now. And he's listening to the wrong people. So God has handed him over, I believe, to his own devices right now and has for a while, which is why you see the Ukraine war he bragged about be done in 24 hours. It's still ongoing right now. Which is why some of the stuff with Iran may get dragged out. We don't know. We'll find out. So
interesting. Okay. All right. Well, while we're in this whole thing with faith, Peter Thiel has launched a series of closed door lectures. Seems like I saw this a minute ago. So it was in Rome, exploring the concept of the Antichrist, not open to the press, and with the venue not even publicly announced or disclosed. So what's the big secret about it? I always say, what's my saying? I always say, people who have things to hide, what is it? People who hide things have things to hide. And so what's he hiding? What's so secret?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't trust him.
Okay, so Yahweh is not in the secret keeping business. I tell my children this all the time. So that's why nobody's a member of a secret society, because God's not in it, because you already know he's not in it, because that is not within his character and who he is. And so this is a prime example. What's so secretive? Why you got to be secretive? And so Peter Thiel's talking and doing a whole bunch of stuff talking about the Antichrist, and you don't want to share that? Yeah. I wonder what side of the fence he's on. Right. And don't forget that the one on the fence, or anybody sitting on the fence, the enemy owns the fence. You got to pick a side. The enemy owns the fence.
Yep.
It's just like, go on.
Well, one of the questions here is, wouldn't that mean that Trump has a reprobate mind? No, not necessarily. It just simply means that God's saying, okay, if you want to operate on your own, Mr. President, you go right ahead. That's what that means.
Completely different.
Completely different.
Yep. Thank you I didn't see that. Yep. Okay. So let's go back to a couple of things. Grammy says a lot of food in the grocery stores say geoengineering right on the label. Try the Publix bakery, sweetheart. flip that stuff over and it'll tell you the pre-made breads and stuff. It says it right on there. You're absolutely right, Grammy. I have seen that. Okay, JK Cupcakes. Let's go back to the flock cameras. So flock cameras are not the same as the purple lights that you're talking about me. Okay, there's somebody at Kroger's, K. Rogers is what I like to call it. The flock cameras are black and solar powered. I'll post what Google says about that. So you go on, and they did. JK's done some research here for us all. Flock safety cameras are solar powered, AI enabled, automated license. Oh yeah, the license plate recognition. You're right. I've noticed seen some stories that more people, local governments, are doing this. Okay, they're license plate recognition systems, which is also ALPR systems, designed for law enforcement. It was an uproar in our area back about 10 years ago. This is not new. It's just starting to go all over. Neighborhoods and businesses to detect crime. Give me a break. All right. Then, because they always make it out like it's best for you. It's for your own good. We're going to beat you. So, JK Cupcakes went on to say the flock cameras don't emit any light. That's right. Yeah. But they're amazingly accurate. It's crazy. There are many in our area where I live. They are about as tall as a street sign and black with solar panels at the top. Thank you so much. That's so sweet of you, JK, to go through and get us all that information. Thank you so much. Okay, so West Wind also, Mark says something very interesting, says it's already legal in 9 months in Minnesota. It's Minnesota.
Wow.
What else is going on there?
Yep.
Minnesota is an up to 9 months abortion sanctuary state.
Wow. I didn't even know that.
What's going on? Who else is in Minnesota?
Yeah.
Haven't we been talking a lot about Minnesota the last year?
Yeah.
And all the Islamic crapola going on there.
Yep.
One last thing I want to share is I'm not old, just older too, says a friend of hers or his says has a son being deployed. He told her to take off the U.S. Marines license plate cover off of her car. So I'm not old, just older too. Why? Did your friend get an explanation from her son or his son? I'd be interested to hear what the thought process was or what he knew or what's going on there. Or is that even something that has to do with the timing of what's going on in our country or why? So if you got any more details, share the deets. Okay, so we're going to keep going. We got a lot to cover. The number of mosques in the United States by state was broken down. And so let's take a look at this. Kevin Sorbo posted it. So look at these numbers. I had no idea. Yeah. Now we have, I think I put it on, let me look here. Michelle Moore Show has all different kinds of stuff on it. And let me just double check here because I think I was able to share a video that it was like it pops up and shows Michelle.
Well, I mean, look at this. You got New York, 570, California, 481, Texas, 399, Florida is 250. I didn't even know that. But we showed some of this on Jay's show the other day. But the point is that the top 4 states that you have here, you have 2 blue and 2 red states. 2 of the reddest states in the union are Texas and Florida, and they are sitting at number 3 and number 4. What does that tell you? Florida, and I have been saying this for years, Texas and Florida, there is an all-out assault to take Texas and Florida. They don't want these states to turn red. They want to attack. Florida's being attacked by the air, water, food, hurricanes, same thing with Texas, guys. And so these 2 states are taking a beating right now, a literal beating.
Well, I mean, yeah. And you even said when Trump was running for president, that California did go red. And so they're just trying to get it back.
Yeah.
And we know we've completely lost New York. That's going to hell in a handbasket. It's gone, but we'll look at a couple of videos in a minute, but we've been showing video after. Who would think 570 in the United States, much less in one state?
Right.
That's what's insane to me. Like,
this is an infiltration. This is an invasion, is what this is.
Yes.
It's going on. This is where I get aggravated with the president. As much as I want him to succeed, and I want to see him turn things around, this is where I get aggravated with him. You know, you can't sit here and let this happen like this. At some point, we got to pull the trigger here and get these people out of here.
That's right. Okay, so, but we're being told that, hey, we're going to walk that back a little because it sounds bad.
Politically correct.
Yeah, something's off. I'm just saying something's off. All right, and there's this page 2 of this, producer Ron. Here we go. So Wisconsin, Washington. So you got some states that don't have but 1 or 2 mosques. Apparently, they don't like Alaska. I wonder why. They only have 1 there. So, okay. Very interesting. Okay. Thank you, producer Ron. So let's move on. Talking about New York, Mayor Mondami, Donnie, pushes Islam. Let's take a look at this event.
Eid Mubarak to everyone here. Salam alaikum. Eid Mubarak to everyone here. Salam alaikum. Allahu Akbar. سمع الله لمن حمده. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Okay, and then there's some kind of Islamic type of lighting of whatever in Harlem that Mayor Mondami lit up. So it's Mondami lights an EID, I guess is how we say it. I don't know. Mubarak lights in Harlem. So let's take a look at this video too.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I don't know what an EID Mubarak is.
Yeah.
Looks like some kind of an event center or something. So I don't know. It's something else that we don't want to have anything to do with is what I'm sure of. Okay, so out of all the things in the world that's going on, churches could raise money for all different kinds of things, right? And so we've got Jesse Duplantis, and he's raising money for something else. Let's take a look.
I told you about the event center and the aviation department, which is being expanded as well because we're growing. God has been everything that's been done over there at the airport is so supernatural.
And when I preached it, the Lord said, believe God for 20,000 people to give $1,000. That's $20 million. Excuse me? The $20 million chunk. He said, replenish. Oh, I said, well, he said, are you going to spend the 20 million? If it came in tonight, it'd be gone in 3 weeks on these projects. Kathy, one of them is this event center, the other one is the hang and all that kind of stuff. Now, you got to start believing it. I don't believe that. Then stay broke.
Okay, so you want to hear a sad stat? Department of Justice funding totals roughly $30 million a year for all of our nation's ICACs, which are Internet Crimes Against Children's task forces. That means each task force gets less than $500,000. These are the front lines of protecting children. We are leaving our kids to the wolves as Jesse wolves around and decides to raise another $20 million for an event center and a new airplane hangar. The Religion Business Season 2, Episode 1 is all about child safety and how the Christian community is primed to be the leader in protecting our children. Christ said, beware of the scribes who like to walk around in long robes, who devour widows' houses and for a pretense make long prayers. So my question is, do we, as Christians, have our priorities mixed up? Event centers, airplane hangars, or protecting our children?
Nathan asked a great question.
Unreal. I don't even know what to say. God, this is where religion. I mean, you look. This is the other thing too. Look, all of these things that are going on in America are spiritual issues that the church has flunked and failed. This is why America and the rest of the world's burning. This is why we're being. You can't light a candle to a foreign god as the head of this nation and not expect spiritual issues like this to be going on and out of control. You can't do it. And so people want to come down on the messenger and attack me for calling it out because God's issuing a correction here, or but the point is we have to correct course. If we don't, the gatekeeper of this nation is going to lead this nation down the wrong path spiritually. It already is. He already is. Look, when you put someone like Paula White in the position that she's in, people say, well, he keeps his friends close, his enemies closer. I'm so sick of hearing that. The problem with that is, guys, he gives her credibility in the world's eyes. And she's in a position as a gatekeeper to keep the true voices of God away from him. That's what that was designed to do, and it's working. And that has to get corrected.
And aren't there spiritual ramifications also? So just like when he had Kenneth Copeland on the stage praying, and you said, who's going to undo that? She is in the White House, and she's got power. We're fixing to watch next, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're going to hear about the power that that Paula has. Let's go ahead and watch the scene.
Well, and don't forget also, while you're saying that, don't forget, Lance Wallnau even said, we finally got the right person in the right place. Who's we?
Yeah.
And he was talking about Paula White when she got in for the second term. Go ahead.
All right. So this is Carrie Minahan, and she's on with Tucker Carlson. We do not endorse Tucker Carlson or any of that, but we have a part of this interview. Many of our viewers actually sent this to me. And there is a clip we want you to see, but she's talking about Paula White. So just in case some of our viewers haven't seen it, I'm sure there are some. We want you to see this, and then we'll talk about it because Mark has a personal experience where the same verbiage was used on him. Let's take a listen.
So then I got a call after I was on pins and needles. I finally got a call, and it was Dan and Paula. And I'll never forget. I literally remember
Dan
every
Patrick
word.
and Paula White.
Yes, they called me and they said, "Hi, Carrie. I know you've been worried this past couple weeks, but." Dan started and he goes, "I just want to let you know we've been in meetings about your situation."
What situation?
Yeah, what situation that I'm posting about? God forbid I criticize Israel. Can't do that while serving in this administration. And he said, I just want to let you know, Carrie, your job on this commission, I'll never forget this, Tucker. Your job on this commission is protect the president and his reputation. He said that to me, the first thing out of his mouth. I couldn't believe it. I go, what? I thought my job is protect religious freedom. I thought that's what he appointed me to do. And he goes, you've been saying things online, Carrie, and you really need to stay off social media. Do not use social media between now and the end of your term. And then Paula White chimed in and she said, yeah, Carrie, you know what? You really shouldn't be posting about replacement theology. You shouldn't be posting about that. And there's a lot of people that are saying that you're an anti-Semite, Carrie, by your posts. And you're criticizing Zionism, and you're criticizing Israel. And we have a problem with that. And then Dan chimed in again, and he got loud. He got real loud, and he's like, Carrie, because I pushed back, and I said, well, wait a second. I said, what am I posting that is so offensive to you? That's against the rules of this commission, because I didn't sign anything saying I wasn't going to use my social media. I speak out about things that I care about. I'm a religious person. I'm a Christian. And he said, you've been saying things that go against, I'll never forget this. He goes, you've been saying things that are not in alignment with the president and are not in alignment with Paula White and some of the other members on this commission. And that's when I knew that this commission was a fraud. It was pretend. It was not about religious freedom. It was about, you better be a Zionist. You better push our agenda or you're off. And that was in August. So we ended the conversation. Dan got really upset because I said, I really do want to keep posting. I'm not going to not use my social media. Can't agree to that, Dan. And he goes, well, why don't you just, if you have any questions about Israel or Gaza, because Paula White chimed in, was like, I'm the expert in that. You're just
Paula White's an expert on Gaza?
Yeah, I'm the expert in that. I just got back from there and there's no kids starving there. It's all fake, Carrie. It's all pretend. Yeah. And so she said, if you
She's a Christian minister saying that?
Yeah.
Do you think that she, at any point in the course of a day, feels like, oof, I'm going to have to answer for this at some point?
No, I think she's just...
To deny the death of children in the name of Jesus is a pretty heavy thing to do.
It's pretty sick. It's pretty dark. And she said, I want you, if you have any questions about anything, if you want to post anything, you need to run it by me first. So now Paula White, an equal of mine on this commission, is now telling me that I have to get everything approved by her in order to post about my religious beliefs. Is that insane?
Yeah, it's making my heart beat fast.
Yeah.
Listening to this,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So that's the backstory.
Well, it's completely evil. And I'll just say, I know Paula White, sort of. I know Dan Patrick very well. He's a lot more liberal than I am. He's quite liberal, but I always liked him. You know, he's not stupid at all. And I'm shocked by this. I was shocked by it. It's so disgraceful.
Me too. I cried, actually. I cried to my husband. I cried to my kids. I couldn't believe this. I couldn't believe that this was happening in the United States of America, that we care more about protecting a foreign nation than we do our own people.
Okay. So, share your story.
So, a couple of things. Number one, that is the prophetic word coming to pass right there, because the prophetic word that talks about where Jezebel or the betrayer sits at the king's table, no true prophet of the living God will ever reach the king's ear. Only my soothsayers will, is what the prophetic word said. That's that coming to pass right there. Because if you speak any truth, they have to protect the president's reputation. She's a gatekeeper. How many times have I said that? How many times has God said that?
Yes.
Same thing with Susie Wiles. And the other thing was they have to protect his reputation. That's what this is all about. They have to protect his pride. They got to protect his arrogance. They got to protect all of these things. These things, I'm not here to protect someone like that. I'm here to issue correction. I'm here to issue whatever the truth, whatever that is, whatever that looks like. And then she came out and she said that Paula told her, you must submit your words for approval. When she said that, I went, oh my gosh. Is this the same thing that happened to me, which is why I got blacklisted? Because when I came out and prophesied that Obama was going to go down, it didn't sit well with certain individuals, and they wanted me to approve my words or submit my words to them for approval. And I wouldn't do it. I said, I don't answer to you people. I answer to the Lord Jesus Christ. You're not getting my words. Simple as that. And ever since then, I got blacklisted. That's what they do, guys. Those are the gatekeepers. This is what, look, if you want to know what a reprobate mind looks like, it's pretty much like Paula White, in my opinion. That's what a reprobate mind looks like for the most part right there, because God's handed her over pretty much beyond her own devices. She's on that is on a fast track to a reprobate mind right there, because she is not in her right mind, in my opinion, and what I'm seeing and discerning, because the simple fact is she's a gatekeeper. You see what she's doing on stage when she's acting like Queen Bee, which to me is more of a program, if you will, of the M style kind.
Mm-hmm.
And so people know what I'm talking about. And so she's activating something or someone. And so, again, this is the lady who controls the spiritual words that go into the king's ear, folks, is Paula White. You heard it out of her own mouth. Certain things have to be submitted and approved. They are controlling what reaches the president, or they are controlling how they want the president to look. They want the perception, a certain perception out there.
And
they don't want the truth.
But how do you even know if President Trump even knows about any of this that happened? They're controlling it. It's like what you said about Lance Wallnau saying, you know, now we've got the right person in place.
That's right.
And like you said, who's we?
Who's we?
And does he even know? You know what I'm saying? Like we've talked about this before, about there being a debate on certain things that are that's happening. Does he know? Does he not know? And I've always said when it comes to leadership, at the end of the day, it's his job to know. We can't make excuses for him, because at the end of the day, he's to know.
Right.
I found it very interesting. Now, I came across this photo, and I just, producer Ron pulled it through. Let's look at this photo, though. This Joe Kent guy, who's made the headlines recently. So this is a Catholic prayer for America. This was just last week, and who all is sitting together?
All right.
She's there at this with Joe Kent and Candace Owens. So I want to just say something that I thought about last week. And I want everybody to think about. Thank you, producer Ron, for that photo. And I saw something also. Oh, here it is. I thought this was interesting, Mark. So on YouTube, Carrie is so awake as far as Israel. Now she just needs to come out of the Roman Catholic Church beast system, praying for her. Psalm 91:1 says. Thank you so much for your comment.
I think everyone needs to come out of the church beast system. It's not just the Catholics, guys.
That's right. That's right.
It's all of it.
501c3.
It's all of it.
Hushmoney.org. We recommend people go to that website, educate themselves if you're not familiar with the most controversial word to this day still that Mark Taylor has given years later, which is get out of the 501c3. You cannot cast out Satan with Satan. You cannot cast out evil with evil. And so who's in charge when you're in bed? I always say when you're in the same bucket in 501c3 bucket with Planned Parenthood, or if you're under that same umbrella, if you want to call it that way, as the 501c3 umbrella with Planned Parenthood, you can't do it. You cannot do it. It was a major word that the Holy Spirit had been giving me. I have a whole testimony about that. And then hearing Mark give this word years ago at the same time, it's amazing. But the Holy Spirit confirmed to me that Mark was absolutely right. Also, the Holy Spirit during the time of the slowing the season slowing the spread. I heard the Holy Spirit say to me, it's about the blood, Michelle, and showed me about abortion. And so what Mark said earlier, when he said blood, it's about the shedding of innocent blood.
That's right.
Remember, Satan has nothing new, right? He is a imitator. And so the blood being so important only makes sense.
Right.
If you think about it.
You're in covenant with those that the Bible says do not be unequally yoked with. You're in covenant. Literally, you're yoked with Islam. You're yoked with the Church of Satan. You're yoked with pro-choice. You're yoked with all these individuals, which means, when Jesus said you're drunk off the blood of the saints, right? So the innocents are being slain and you're drunk. So what happens when you drink adrenochrome?
Yeah.
You get this incredible high. You get this youthfulness. You're acting crazy, right? The point is, do people not think that doesn't happen in the spirit? There is such thing as spiritual adrenochrome. The Lord has been revealing this to me here lately.
Wow.
Now, this is what people are drinking. You're drunk off the blood of the saints. This is why they have no discernment, why they have no wisdom, why they can't operate in the sevenfold spirit, because you're a part of that system. You're drunk. What happens when you're drunk? You lose your five senses. You lose sight, sound, smell, movement, whatever the case is, your gross motor skills. The same thing happens in the spirit. When you've been drinking the blood of the saints because you're drunk off of spiritual adrenochrome, you can't operate in the spirit. And this is what happens when you're part of the system. You got to come out of the system. This is why the ecclesia is so powerful and why the ecclesia are going to be the ones to get rid of this. It's the church system, those who are drunk off the blood of the saints, that are going to usher in the Antichrist. It's the churches. It's the Paula Whites. It's the Lance Wallnows. It's these guys who are going to usher in the Antichrist.
Yeah. Okay. And so let's keep moving on. I just wanted to point that out. Okay. The next one is that we wanted to talk about. It turns out that not only is there a Paula White, but there is a Paula White Jr. He just happens to be a black man. Y'all just watch this video. You'll see what I'm talking about.
Whenever you do not tithe, it's like you are robbing your father. Can you imagine yourself robbing your father?
Get on the ground. Get on the ground. Yo, D, tie his hands up. Tie his hands up. Hey, man, check his pockets. Run his pockets, man. What you got? Go ahead. Yo, we got it. We got it. We good?
You rob God, who gave you life, who provided for you, gave you opportunities, and you tie his hands so that he can't do anything that he desires to do for you. Son, I had a plan for your life. Son, I provided for you. I had a plan. Why would you rob me? God did not create you to be a robber. God did not create you to be a thief. God created you to be blessed. When you put back into God's hand what's God's, then you untie the hands of God. When you untie the hand of God, what happens is God says, I had a plan from the get-go. Let me show you what God will do. God says, what I want to do is I desire to bless you. And they're going to be filled. And they're going to have to get somebody to come, because what happens is the blessing of the Lord maketh rich. Come on, son. And it flows. It flows. It flows. Amen. Somebody say, the flow of God is real. Somebody say, the flow of God is real. From generation to generation, God will put you into overflow. Somebody shout, that's my portion. I'm a tither, I'm an offerer, and I flow in the gift of giving. God put you in overflow. Slap 12 people high five and say, overflow, overflow. Oh, 12 people, get up.
Okay, so KM Sunshine, she goes, who does this kind of theatrics in church? Every Sunday, a bunch.
A lot of people,
All
obviously.
over, honey.
That's
All
the
over.
system we're talking about. Someone's asking about Social Security. We're not
Yep.
talking about Social Security. We're talking about the church religious system is the one that's doing that right now.
Yeah, yeah. So JP O'Toole, that's who we're referring to, says, how do you
Correct.
get out of the system when part of your income is from Social Security
Right.
and you are forced to take out Medicare?
Yeah.
That's not the system we're talking
That's
about.
not what we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
Look, judgment starts where? It starts in the house of the Lord. The church system is under judgment right now. That's what I've been saying from day one. And so that's what God is referring to right now. This is not about religion. This is about religion. This is about religion versus relationship. God wants relationship, not religion. So you're seeing these churches that are out of control right now like this because they're drinking spiritual adrenochrome, you know what I mean, through the 501c3. So that's what God is talking about.
All right. So thank you so much, Deanna. So it's Deanna Salem 145 on YouTube, says SCOTUS 14th Amendment case being heard on April the 1st. Are you aware of this? I didn't know it was April 1st. I knew it was coming up. Huge case to be heard, and it's the biggest one since the Roe v. Wade case. I agree. So, so heads up on that. That could be big. And so thank you so much.
Okay.
Cute kitty on there too. Okay. So, all right, let's keep going. We got a couple more things. This one just blows my mind. So I want to go back. I want to back up. We missed this. This is Abbott, and he's being interviewed. It looks like it's the Danica Patrick, maybe. So are there current Sharia courts? You know, we've been talking so much about old Sharia and all this and the what do they call it? Self-monitoring, self-policing. I didn't know that this actually happened on American soil, but Disney World, self-policing, so to speak, that never went anywhere when the big, uproar was done and being talked about, never went anywhere. But anyways, and so let's listen to what Abbott has to say about if there are Sharia courts in the United States currently.
We don't have any currently actual legitimate Sharia courts, do we?
Well, if you look at a letter that I issued earlier today, I did tell the public, as well as local law enforcement, that there actually are Sharia courts that are operating in Dallas, and they are trying to impose Sharia law. And I pointed out to local prosecutors, both in Dallas County as well as in Collin County, as well as to the Attorney General, as well as to the Texas Department of Public Safety, that what they are doing with these Sharia courts that we have identified in the letter that I issued today, they are in violation of Texas law, including violation of Texas penal codes. And so what they're doing in part could be considered a crime, but also clearly a violation of the Texas Constitution and our statutes that prohibit Sharia law in the state of Texas.
And notice when she asked the question, he kind of stumbled there right at the very beginning right there. He wasn't quite sure where to go with that.
Yeah.
But
hey, how long's he been in office? Like 10 years almost, something like that.
Yeah.
So this is what I would love. You know, the whole thing by Kevin Sorbo, the two images that we had was the list of all the mosques by state. I would love to know how many of those happened in the last 10 years under Abbott. By the way, remember Abbott was going to baseball games with baby Bush. And so I don't remember if Daddy Bush was in the photos, but we just need to remember, I want to be pressed to say one good politician that I trust in this country, period, at this point.
Well, his number one contributor was a Muslim.
Yeah, that's
We had that on the
right.
show. We had that on the show.
Forgot about that,
His number
Mark.
one donor was
Remember.
a Moses. Was it like $15-16 million total?
Yeah.
So there you go, guys.
Why
And I don't.
is
And by the way, I'm going to say it again. I don't believe he won that election. So, just saying.
But it's being looked into.
Yeah, I don't believe
So
he
we'll
won it.
see.
So that's just me.
All right. Very interesting. We'll see what ends up coming out of that. I want to go back to something that I want to make a point on and discuss. You mentioned it a little while ago about what's the lady in Arizona with the short hair?
Kerry Lake.
Carrie Lake. Thank you. I wanted to say Tammy. So she's got Tammy Faye vibes or something. I don't know. Tammy Faye Baker. But Carrie Lake, she and President Trump walked back and ended up being what was it that was trying to be passed? Was it stopping abortion in Arizona?
They had abortion almost completely outlawed in the state of Arizona. It was literally outlawed to the point. And Kerry Lake came out the following day. I think it was their Supreme Court. Somebody can look it up. Came out and ruled on it or something like that. And Kerry Lake came out the very next day and said it needed to be overturned. She disagreed with it. Trump backed her up that afternoon and did a press conference, said, no, they need to overturn it, which I thought he said he was going to stay out of states' rights. Mm-hmm. He stepped in. He shouldn't have stepped in because they had it pretty much illegal. He didn't agree with it. So what happened? The needle, like 4 weeks later, swung the other direction, completely the other direction now, and abortion was legal up to 15 weeks, which means every child that is sacrificed to 15 weeks from that point on, that blood is on Kerry Lake and Trump's hands because they stepped in when God had it handled basically at that point and had it illegal. And they stepped in. Again, you can't do this. When Trump says, I'm going to leave it up to the states for this stuff, he didn't do it. He stepped in when he shouldn't have. And
we're talking about last year. This happened last year. It's recent, relatively recent. And so this isn't like it was 8 or 9 years ago. This is relatively recent. So this is the kind of stuff that we report on. We talked about it back then. But the fact of the matter is, how does this make sense? And it goes back to what, even Mark was explaining earlier in the show about, okay, what is a Republican and what is a conservative Christian patriot?
That's right.
And so how do you identify, and what is important to you? What are your values? And, and so I think there are a lot of people that are saying that they're a Republican or they're a conservative, but they don't align with Christian values.
Yeah. I align with biblical values. If MAGA wants to go the road of certain abortions, they want to go the road of LGBTQ, to consider me not MAGA. I stay on the road of the Lord Jesus Christ.
Period.
That's who I follow. That's what I represent.
Ditto. I did see on YouTube a comment a little while ago from a viewer, and I'm not going to go back and dig through it because there's a lot of comments over there now, but I appreciate the comment. And it was somebody who read Melania's book apparently and said that Melania talked about, oh, I am going to have to go back and dig through it because I think it was about believing in abortion, was the comment that she expresses that in her book, meaning Melania. And so that's,
it's not good. Look, this is not good. Again, she's the first lady. She holds a very, very powerful position of influence over America and over the world, guys. So you can't sit here and say that we're leading the most conservative movement in American history and call it conservative when there's nothing conservative about that.
That's right. Okay, I had one more thing to say that I wanted to discuss with you. Over the break, I was off last week. Producer Ron and I we were off, and I got to thinking about something. I have not said a lot about the Charlie Kirk stuff. We've talked some here and there. I've covered it here and there, but not much in the grand scheme of things. And I've continued to monitor it. I've continued to listen to different people that have come forward. I've continued to listen to some, clips of Candace talking about this or that. I just want to say something, and I want to give people food for thought. You don't have to be Team Erica Kirk or Team Candace. What if neither one is any good? And so, or right, or being honest. I mean, how do you know? And so that's why I stay away from all of it, because I think there's something wrong. And I always go back to Candace Owens, how did she make her big, debut and make her name and all that? Who put her on the map? How did she get put on the, and a lot of people aren't going to necessarily know this, but I'm going to tell you how it happened. She was doing YouTube videos. It was pretty funny. She was, acting like she told her parents that she was conservative, and they said, "Can't you just be gay?" And so, like, in other words, we take that way better than you saying you're conservative. And so it was funny. It was clever. But then there was a tweet, and it was Kanye West who tweeted about picking up what Candace Owens is laying down. And so you have to go back to the whole, was that planted? Was that, which Kanye? I mean, at this point. And so, because, there was a Kanye telling everything and singing like a canary. And ever since then, we don't really see that one anymore. So I'm just saying, I just don't trust any of it. And I don't get too much into any of it or give it much time, because it is a big, fat, ugly distraction, in my opinion. And how do you know what any of them are saying has any truth at all whatsoever? So that's just my thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mark?
I'm not team any of them myself. I don't like any of it. I think
that smells skunk.
The fake tears are, I mean, it's reminiscent of someone on some religious TV program, you know what I mean, with the fake tears and
Tammy Faye. I just said Tammy Faye.
I mean, honestly. So anyhow, I look, be careful who you follow out there right now. There's a lot of information, a lot of disinformation. So I mean, look, what else? We have anything else to go over?
No, I want to ask you if you have some closing thoughts.
Yeah. So here's my closing thoughts. Okay.
Okay.
Look, I want to see the president succeed, because if he succeeds, America succeeds. All right. And I want to see all these prophetic words that God has prophesied through me was prophesied before he ever came into office. All he has to do is turn to Christ and walk it out. I don't want to see him with blood on his hands. And unfortunately, he's got a lot of it between the vaccines, 5G, lighting a candle in the office of a foreign God, all of these different things. I mean, I could come up with an entire list of these things, guys, and it's not good. He needs our prayers. He needs these people that have his ear out from around him. They need to be gone. And so I would love nothing more. Look, I would love nothing more, honestly, if he was playing all of us right now, and then all of a sudden, a month from now, he pulls the trigger and cleans out all of America and declares the Insurrection Act. I would love nothing more than that. That'd be fantastic. Yeah. But you can't prove that's going on right now, because you have to go by the facts. And the facts are what we've presented here on the show. Well, what we're doing is producing facts here of what's happening. America's not safe. It's not safe to walk down the street. You can't do anything in America right now that there's not some type of chaos or violence going on, because he has no control over it right now. He claims he does, but he doesn't. And then you see stuff like Kerry Prejean saying, hey, they're there to protect his reputation. Well, aren't we here to speak truth? And we've seen a couple nasty comments in here already tonight. And so we've gotten some nasty comments from a letter. And what I want to say to some of these people are, you don't have the spirit of truth in you. You don't have Christ in you if you don't want the truth. And that's a problem with a lot of Christians right now, is they think they know Christ, but yet you don't want the truth. You want to stick up for man versus what Jesus is saying right now at this point. Jesus is the spirit of truth. If you don't want the truth, you don't have Christ in you. You need to do a heart search. You need to do some serious soul searching and repentance, and finding out what it is about you that doesn't want the truth that God is saying in this hour right now, because you don't have Christ in you. That is the problem that most people have. So I want to see the president have Christ in him. I want to see him. I'm not asking for a preacher. I don't want a preacher in the White House, as a matter of fact. I want a tough guy in there that's going to handle this stuff. But there are certain biblical laws, biblical foundations that he's going to have to follow in order for these things to line up. And he's not doing it. He's relying on his intellect. And I'm not even so sure he's even listening to a lot of people around him, because he made a statement the other day that he lets people speak their mind, but he does it anyway. Something to that effect. Or, you know what I mean? So it's like, okay, that's what it means to leave with your own devices. When God leaves you to your own devices, he could leave all of us to our own devices. It doesn't matter. He's simply saying, okay, you want to do it on your own? You're on your own. You're not going to have me in it. I'll take a step back and I'll let you make the mistakes. And you can fall into the holes that are set before you by the enemy.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's part of my prayer, is that he seek God in all of his
Yes.
decisions.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
that's important.
I want him to succeed, but unfortunately, he's going down a bad path right now, a very bad path. And if he's not careful, part of that will be handing the midterms to the Democrats because he's not listening. Look at the poll numbers right now. It's not good. When I look at the comments, when I look at the social media, or I see these things, people are not happy with their president.
Yeah.
Because he made promises, and people don't do well when you set the expectation level way up here during the campaign cycle, and then you come into office and you rip the rug out from underneath people. You can't expect people not to be angry. And that's what's going on right now. And so people are just simply not going to show up to the polls, which is not an excuse not to vote, because we need to vote no matter what. No matter how angry we are with the president, we need to show up and vote in the midterms, guys.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Thank you
for
being
having
with
me.
us. Thank you. Great word there at the end. We did receive a comment that I wanted to talk about. I wonder why Candace is allowed to say what she says and keeps her channel and super chats. Most YouTubers have to speak in code. That's right, Wilma. Because I know that we're on our second one, and our second YouTube channel, and we're barely hanging on, y'all. Barely. But Candace goes down all of these, I don't know, roads, and it just goes crazy. So just want to make sure that everybody knows, like, something isn't quite adding up. There's a lot of drama. I think a lot of it isn't about just thriving on drama. I think it has to do with distractions. There's a lot of confusion. And so who's the author of confusion? God's not in it. And so there's all of that going on. I think it's just all by design to distract. And we have to keep it in kind of its place so that you don't waste a lot of your time, valuable time. And by the way, when you're wasting your time, it's not just about wasting time, just say wasting time. It's keeping you from what actually matters. So are you reading the word of God? Are you reading your Bible? Are you praying? Are you having a prayer time? Are you spending time with your family? Are you spending your quiet time that you need? Are you spending time with your loved ones and your friends and, cleaning your home and doing all the things you need to do? Or are you distracted and not getting the things done that you should be getting done because of crazy stuff like that? And there are people that are listening to every single word of every show on this stuff, and it's complete craziness. And so I think at the end of the day, this side of heaven, will we even know what is the truth? I don't know. And so that's why I give it such little time and effort and energy, because what are we going to do? How does it change your lives? How does it change my lives? And I've shared that before, where the Holy Spirit said, how does this make a tangible difference in your viewers' lives? If you know who killed Charlie Kirk or what really happened, how does it make a tangible difference in their lives? Tangible, something that you can point to and go, wow, because I listened to this and I listened to the Michelle Moore show, it changed my life. See what I'm saying? And so, okay, I was talking earlier in the show. I want to remind everybody, tomorrow Jay is going to be here for our second week of our 4-week teaching. Okay. And then Friday, Eve is going to be here. We have and so we're getting ready to do giveaways. Let's talk about that. So we have a launch on Friday of new products. Got some big ones coming. Y'all don't even see it coming. I've been busy. And so Friday's a big day. And so we'll have Eve. She is a formulator that we have that's on our team here at Godly Granny that I hired to help us with formulating some products. She's one of our formulators. And so she'll be here for a little bit of the show. And then we have some other products we're going to announce as well. But I wanted to share with you that we've been doing mystery boxes, right? $75 value. We've got it for $60. And then you can also use your coupon code. Well, we're going to give away a mystery box. So this is how we're going to do it, okay? Because not everybody gets to watch live. So we're going to give everybody a chance to enter that watch the show between now live. You can email in order to win. Michelle at NashvilleMichelle.com, must be in the United States to win. And so, because the shipping gets crazy, y'all, when you go out of the United States. But so you must be in the United States to win. And if you're watching this on a re-air, so today is Monday and it is the 23rd of March. And so if you're watching this tomorrow morning, you still got a chance. You can email me, Michelle at Nashville Michelle, put mystery box as the subject, and we're going to give it away at the beginning of tomorrow's show. This is just a little something we do to give people a chance that maybe can't watch the show till on the way home from work, or a lot of times it's the next morning on the way to work. I know many of you write me and tell me when you listen and you're just not able to watch live, but you watch the re-air. So we wanted to, today just do a little something special for you guys as well. And then I'll get a number from producer Ron and I will count through the emails that say mystery box in the subject line and we will find a winner. And then I will announce it at the very beginning of tomorrow's show before Jay and I do our teaching, which is going to be really good. Now, he has a wife who is very pregnant. And so everything is contingent upon Jay's wife not going into labor. So anyways, so that's the plan for tomorrow. And I'm very excited about the show. Many of you have written me about his first teaching and have said how much you enjoyed it. And how excited you are that he'll be back on a second time. We have a 4-week or a 4 kind of planned lesson that is going on. So this is week 2, and we'll just see how it all works out with his wife giving birth. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Want to remind you, email Michelle at Nashville Michelle in the subject line. You're going to put mystery box, and then what you need to email me is your first name, your last name, and your mailing or shipping address, and a phone number just in case we need to call you with any questions. So we're going to have one winner. It'll be given out at tomorrow at the beginning of the show. And good luck. All right, we'll see you right here next time on the Michelle Moore Show.
Hi, I'm Linda Bamber Olson, the inventor of the Wave Watch, the world's first frequency therapy watch. It features over 1,100 targeted frequencies combined into 150 playlists for ease of use. These sounds are acoustical and they move through your body, through your skin and your bones. You don't necessarily have to hear it. As each frequency goes through, it can be realigning, revitalizing, reconnecting, and even rebalancing your body all the way to the cellular level. So that's why we have so many testimonies for aches, ADD and ADHD, allergies, colds and flu, dental, emotions, headaches, joints, kidney stones, nerves, organs, skin health, swelling, tremors, vagus nerve, and so many more. Use this code for $100 off when you purchase the Wave Watch. Thanks for learning about frequencies, using them, and supporting the Wave Watch.
There aren't a lot of reasons to use Godly Granny products. There's every reason, because every time you twist or flip a cap on something from Godly Granny, you're voting no to chemicals and yes to common sense, but without all the electronic voting machines. With Godly Granny, there's no toxins, no chemicals, no endocrine disruptors, no cancer-chasing filler. Godly Granny is a small batch, made-to-order, deeply naturopathic wellness brand. Founded on biblical truth, formulated with pure purpose, and handcrafted by saved folks who know that freedom doesn't come from fake lavender and phthalates. Go to godlygranny.com today. Be sure and use the discount code Michelle10 at checkout to receive 10% off your entire order.
Hi friends, it's Michelle Moore. And when it comes to protecting your retirement, I believe in taking smart, steady steps. Bank of America analysts call gold the ultimate safe haven. And when it comes to precious metals, I trust Universal Coin and Bullion, the official rare coin and bullion dealer of my show. They have been named the best in their industry both nationally and regionally by leading organizations. Consider a gold IRA, a time-tested way to diversify your portfolio with real tangible assets, which lets you move a portion of your retirement savings into physical gold, helping protect your wealth from inflation, market swings, and economic uncertainty. And Universal Coin and Bullion makes the process easy. From rollovers to delivery, they walk you through every step, even if you have one with another gold company. Protect what you've worked so hard to build from the team that I trust, Universal Coin and Bullion, at 800-321-8700, and make sure to tell them Michelle sent you.
For Michelle's social media links, go to MichelleMooreShow.com.